Awesome. Well, I'm really stoked, Coach MacDermott, Kevin, to have this conversation today. You're definitely a big force and power in the world of rowing. And what I'd love to know first is kind of what brings you down to the boathouse every day, and what it's a little bit about your background, a little bit about your history in the sport.
Yeah, well, it's a very nice introduction. I really appreciate it and appreciate the opportunity to chat today. Man, a lot of things bring me down to the boathouse. I I think the drive is just that when I think about what happens here, I'm really excited about it. Like, so enthusiasm brings me down. Um, People who know me, whether through Trinity or through Craftsbury or just through other things that I've done, like am I talk fast, I am loud, I am enthusiastic, like, and it's not for show. Like, it's genuine, it is deep seated. And really, for the last 30 years, have just been so fortunate to have rowing and sculling being a part of my life. And for the last 20 plus, like, central to my professional life and central to my personal life, that it's just, I don't know if that's a good answer or not, but like, enthusiasm brings me down because I love the people who are in this building, and I love the boats that are in this building, and the work we do here, and the work that has been done here in the past. Like, I don't know, it all just gets me going. And to be a part of it and to help kind of grow the legacy of Trinity and to help expand the sport, those are the things that I'm really enthusiastic about.
I think those are the things that keep us in whatever it is long term, right? There has to be some genuine stoke around it, and I know that comes through your athletes. I mean, before we met, I met Aiden,
Yeah.
who's one of the guys that I'm very fortunate to work with, and it comes through. And then I met Ben, and then I met Liam, and it's like, oh my gosh, there's
Yeah.
something really really cool going on.
Well, Aiden
So
serves as a great example of that, where his senior year, it was middle of COVID, and he goes, "Coach, I'd really like to do something big." I was like, "Great, love it.
yeah,
What do you want to do?" And he goes, "I want to do a 70-mile row from Hartford to the Long Island Sound." And I said, "Aiden, that sounds great. The logistics, we'll try to figure it out." It didn't quite work, but I said, "How about a 36-mile round trip row to Middletown and back in singles?" And he said, "Great, that sounds awesome." So that's what we did. We weren't able to do the 70K. It was a 50 miler to the Long Island Sound. So we settled on a 36-mile round trip. But yeah, that's awesome.
you got to draw the line somewhere.
That's right. That's right. Only 36, man.
Only
Yeah.
36 is short row.
Aiden's a
Yeah, no,
great example of just like, man, that kid and so many like him, they help keep me going and just get me so excited to be down here.
yeah. Tell me a little bit about the crew. So right now you're at Trinity.
Yep.
I know that you spent some time over the summer at Craftsbury, what we can dive into.
Yeah.
But tell me about the different crews that you've had the opportunity to coach, and we can focus a little bit on Trinity as
Yeah.
well.
I mean, I've been at Trinity since 2006. I was initially hired as the assistant coach. So Larry Gluckman, the amazing and now late Larry Gluckman, sadly passed away 2 years ago. Hired me in '06. Larry retired from Trinity in '09, and I was hired as the head coach at that time. So been very, very fortunate to have been involved in, and been employed and been working at Trinity since that time. It's just been an awesome
Yeah.
spot for many reasons. I mean, I love the student athletes that I've been able to work with. The legacy of Trinity we talk about all the time. All three of kind of the like primary mentors in my coaching career all have direct connections to Trinity. So yeah, my time here has been really amazing, and I'm just very privileged and very honored to have been able to coach here for this period, and hope we, I don't know, have a lot more years to go with a lot more success. But yeah, outside of that, I've been coaching at the Craftsbury Sculling Center since 2002, and I've been very fortunate. I've been involved kind of in the management and administrative side of things as one of the assistant directors since 2007, and have been kind of one of the head coaches since 2005. So been involved up there for all that time, which now that's a long time. I haven't thought of it in these terms, but yeah, 21 years that I've been up at Craftsbury, which spans kind of the Spring family when they owned the property, and now Dick and Judy Dreisigacker, Judy Gear and Dick Dreisigacker bought the property in 2008, and have loved my time there as they've been in charge of Craftsbury. But yeah, outside of that, I was involved in the junior men's national team for a couple of years, and have been, I don't know, coaching like anybody, anywhere for a long time. That was, I don't know, kind of a theme for a few years there, where I was going to Arizona to run camps. I helped run some college camps for a while as well. So now
Well,
that I see
it's
it,
a blast. Like there's so many different ways to get involved,
I
right?
know.
Like and that's, and I'm not sure if athletes and coaches, maybe some of them that are listening to this will realize that like it doesn't need to just be your crew.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm really encouraging others to do, because I've had the opportunity to work with some summer camps here, whether it's US Rowing Camp, Ready Set Row, some of these other guys. And it's been even a Big Bear running camp.
Yeah.
Because now we're getting into track and field a little bit.
That's awesome.
Cross country. And it's really, really cool opportunity for athletes to get exposed to different coaching styles, as well as for coaches to meet and kind of exchange ideas in a way. I'd love to hear a bit more about your mentorship and kind of how you've seen that really influence your coaching.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about that, because I was very, very fortunate to have some wonderful mentors. I do want to just say that, like, I think I learned so much from other coaches in rowing, but also in other sports, as you say. Craftsbury, just as one example, there is an elite level biathlon, elite level Nordic skiing, elite level running program, all under the umbrella of Craftsbury. And getting to know those coaches, understanding like their training methodologies, the way that they're coaching their teams, even just their sports, like what they entail. There's an amazing strength and conditioning coach, Will Ruth, who kind of oversees all of the strength and conditioning programs. So yeah, you just, you get involved, or I have gotten involved like anywhere that I can. And I feel like it's all complementary. Like it's all substantive in terms of enhancing like my understanding of sport in general, but then just like human performance, maybe even more generally, like how we perform. And it's all good, man. It is all so exciting to learn and take little pieces from everywhere. Anybody who knows me, like I love little mantras or little idioms. And one of the ones written on our whiteboard down in the bay is, if you carry a big basket, you always bring something home. And, I want guys to think of like every single moment is a potential for learning. It's like a potential to gain something. It's a potential to like take something in, which I don't know, maybe a good segue to my mentors, because I think Phil Carney, Norm Graff, and Larry Gluckman, who are kind of really fundamental early career mentors, they were three very different people, very different coaching philosophies, different approaches. And I just took huge, huge pieces from all of them. They were all like in their personality, in their coaching philosophy, in their understanding of exercise physiology and training, of psychology. Like I took so much from all of them. And as I said in one of my earlier answers, Phil Carney, who is the head coach at Wesleyan University, where I rowed for Phil and then worked for Phil for 4 years. He's a Trinity grad.
Oh, no kidding.
Which is an odd kind of parallel that I mentioned quite often. Phil at Wesleyan, Trinity grad, and I've been coaching at Trinity for many years as a Wesleyan grad. But and then Norm was the associate head coach at Wesleyan when I was an undergrad. And then he took over the director role at Craftsbury. And so that was after I graduated. This was 2002, 2003. So he was a mentor when I was an undergrad, and then hired me at Craftsbury and was an amazing mentor as I began my coaching career up there. He was the head coach at Trinity for the men from 67 to 82 and head coach of the women from 88 to 92. And then third, Larry, who was at Trinity actually a relatively short time. He was only here for 6 years, but was, unbelievably successful with his crews and the Trinity boats that were here when he was the head coach, and then hired me as his assistant, which was really wonderful. So to your question of mentorship, I was so fortunate to have those three early in my career, and many others, subsequently in kind of my middle career, I guess, or as I entered the middle of my career. But all three of those guys, one thing that they had in common was they were great teachers. Phil still is a great teacher and doing a great job with the crews at Wesleyan. Norm passed away 5 years ago. Larry passed away 2 years ago. But all three, amazing teachers. And that's kind of I don't know, what I wanted to do. I didn't necessarily want to coach. That wasn't the plan.
Really?
Yeah, no, not at all. But I always loved teaching, and in all different forms. I didn't know what it was going to be. I didn't know what avenue I would take. Right. But I think it appeals and utilizes a lot of my skills, and coaching just was the avenue that kind of teaching took. So was very fortunate to have those three mentors who all outstanding teachers who took it very seriously. And in fact, Larry's background in his master's degree was in special education. And so he
interesting,
this amazing depth of knowledge and experience with teaching and learning methodology. So anyway, learned a tremendous amount from those teachers, and fortunately many others in the subsequent years.
Yeah, we always see that the ability to transfer knowledge to athletes, or to be able to get them to take the right behaviors that are going to lead to their success, that separates a lot of programs and whoever's at the helm. And I mean, I'm a UCLA guy, right? All of us at CrewLAb are UCLA people for the most part, except for the awesome Trinity people that we've had the opportunity to work with.
Yeah.
But John Wooden always said, John Wooden said that he was a teacher first, right? That was his favorite title, was that he was a teacher. And it really does echo through. And you see, I'm from the Bay Area, so Bill Walsh, football coach, is a big inspiration. And again, it's about creating this environment where those people can learn.
Yeah. I think Steve Kerr now is kind of at the forefront of coaching, mentioning the Bay Area. I love hearing him talk. I love hearing his thoughts on coaching. He's another one to add to your Bay Area coaches. Amazing. 100%. John Wooden used to teach his guys how to put on their shoes and their socks. That was a lesson.
Yeah.
And I think of that a lot of the time of trying to encourage teaching of fundamentals, but also I think hopefully as you get farther and farther into your career, you just have a big toolbox that you can utilize because of the range of athletes you work with, range of abilities, range of talents, range of just ages and physical abilities. You have to have a lot of tools at your disposal. And when I was a younger coach, I don't know, I just thought the way that I taught it, why don't you get it? I'm teaching it, you should get it. And you're
right.
That's not how it works. Meet the athlete or meet the student where they are. And it's not a unidirectional, kind of conversation. It's got to be a discussion. It's got to be, two-way. And those teachers, I think that is inspiring to me, and I feel very fortunate that I've found coaching as the avenue for instructing and trying to impart some of what's impacted me onto others.
I know that you said that identity as an athlete is a big part, and when we were speaking a little bit before this,
Yeah.
that just the physical expression, body movement, all these things, figuring out what we're physically capable of. If you're comfortable sharing a little bit about your experience this summer,
Yeah.
I would love to hear how that's kind of reframed how you're thinking about this fall and talking to your athletes.
Yeah. I still train at a fairly high level. I've been. It's a great question. I really appreciate it. I promise I will return to it in one moment. But
Yeah.
2018, I was very fortunate to get connected with a couple of guys who row under the affiliation of Palm Beach Rowing, Cliff D'Souza
Okay.
and Toby Ayer. And they were looking
Yeah,
for
yeah,
somebody.
I know Toby.
Oh,
He's cool.
the best, right?
Yeah.
So Toby, who he's 48, I think, went 6'10"
Yeah.
at the Crash Bees last spring, or last winter. So
Really?
guys, yeah, who take still masters level guys who take it very seriously.
Nice.
So they were looking for somebody to fill into a boat. Again, I train and I really love fitness. I train at quite a high level. So anyway, connect with these guys. Few years later, we finished second at the head of the Charles the last 2 years.
Oh, no kidding.
It's just been really fun. Like we approach it with we're all adults with families and jobs, so we're not like obsessed with it, but we really focus on like what can we still do as athletes, and we can still do a lot. And that's really fun to beat up on like younger undergrad crews, especially. But like, look, we can still do a lot. So we love training, and I've been so lucky to connect with these guys. So my identity, like as an athlete, I think still really informs my coaching of understanding like, look, our workout the other day was 2 by 12 minutes at rate 30. Like burner, freaking like
we're going
and burn. So like I still love doing that, and it makes me a better coach. I feel like going through that athletic process personally, remembering what it's like, both the good and then to come back to your question, the bad, like the struggles, the challenges that you face. Whether it's in training and just kind of the little everyday maintenance things that you got to figure out a strategy to get over it, or the more serious, like maybe you're overtraining and plateauing and, you need a little bit of adjustment. So those kind of things. Or for me, I had 2 herniated discs, one of which was causing such severe nerve damage that I had foot drop in my left foot. So this is in late May, early June. I had no motor control of my left foot, and that was
which for someone on their feet all day long, always training out, doing all sorts of stuff,
like terrifying. And really like I've had injuries before, and I ruptured my Achilles, I've dislocated my shoulder, like some injuries that really hit you. This was just different. Like I had no sensation and no motor control in my left foot. And so surgery was successful. Had a discectomy and the lapidectomy in early June, but then the surgical site caught a massive infection, ended up staph infection of my spine, and spent 10 days in the hospital. And 4 of those days I had such intense photophagia, I couldn't really open my eyes. It presented basically as like severe meningitis. It was not. It was a staph infection of the surgical site,
which is a crazy, scary disease for those
sure.
that aren't familiar with how that goes.
Yeah. So they, again, great treatment. I was very fortunate, but had a few days that were pretty gnarly. So yeah, like the self-reflection, I think, and the process of like dealing with this injury, this infection, the rehabilitation, now the physical therapy. I, I really hope it makes me a better coach, because
Mm,
to have my like to experience that was incredibly hard. And I hope it makes me more empathetic when guys have injuries, large and small, to really just understand better, like how our bodies respond. And this was a pretty extreme response to a herniated and ruptured disc and
yeah.
a staph infection of your spine. But along the continuum, just to hopefully like be aware of how I felt. Like I felt horrible, like emotionally,
Mm,
mentally, like was just lost for a while, um, because my professional life and a lot of my personal like self identity is defined by athletics and by my physical human performance. So yeah, it was a rough summer, man. Not a great summer,
I'm
but
kidding.
again, man,
Yeah.
carry a big basket. Like I learned
Yeah.
a ton from that. I sincerely feel that, and that I really feel stronger, and I hopefully am better at my job moving forward
Yeah.
from having that
Right.
experience.
I think a lot of athletes get caught in I am because of, right? I am this way because of the things that I can do with my body.
Yeah,
We start to see that fade over time, or your skill set changes, and then your identity starts to change
yeah.
a little bit. So what advice would you have for athletes that kind of go through something like that? Is that type of experience? Because clearly you're still coming back. You were out in the single at Craftsbury, which we'll get into in a little bit.
Yeah.
But what how do you come back? Because we do change over time, no matter what.
Yeah, I do want to say this carefully, but I think bodies and souls and minds, they can heal, and
Mm,
there's no like formula. It's not a linear thing. It's not a perfect thing, but I really do feel like I learned a lot about mental and emotional resilience, um, and then the physical, like we can heal, and that any athlete or person who you go through inevitably in life, emotional and mental and physical challenges, like you can proceed, you can make progress,
yeah,
and when you get knocked down, you can work within your own strength and the strength of those around you to heal. And again, I want to be careful and kind of delicate about stating that, with respect to the vast continuum of challenges that people face. But I do believe that, like, we can inner strength and the strength of those around us can get better, and can heal. Like your body is resilient, minds and spirits can be really, really resilient. So I don't know. I'm incredibly grateful for each day and grateful for the things that I can do. So whatever they are, if it is
mm.
100% of what I think I should be able to do, not,
Right.
that doesn't matter. I just am
Yeah.
grateful for the things that I can do. Um,
Well, and that flows into your coach and performance, right? Coaching and performance of like, oh, I thought this crew would,
yeah,
or I thought that I could. And these are things that go through athlete brains all the time. It's like
right.
we set certain expectations, we set certain standards, and we really want to hit that. We want to stay up for it. And it's this balance between, well, we don't want to be too horrible on ourselves when things don't go our way, or when that kind of comes in. But at the same time, you still do want to have this idea of getting after whatever it is, whether it's, Aiden doing his 30 mile row, or I just need to get out of bed today
Yeah.
and get and just walk around wherever it is for a little bit, setting that standard.
I had
Um,
an occupational therapist come in. I was discharged from the hospital and
yeah.
taught me how to put on socks. And that was a day in my life this summer. And
Yeah.
I really, I respect it. I think about it a lot. A wonderful student athlete on the team. His name is Matt Mitchell, and he missed his entire sophomore spring with thoracic outlet syndrome. He had
Mm.
a procedure to fix this thoracic outlet issue. And he and I would text of like things we were able to do. Of like, hey man,
Really?
I put on my shoes today, you know, and it's like, yes, dude, like put on my shoes. And like Matt's like, I went for a really long walk, you know, like I was able to
Yeah.
do like 45 minutes. And then, you know, I was like, man, I did a long walk too and hope I can go faster tomorrow. So I was
Right.
going through it and I was like, I'm not the only one, right? Like there are others.
No.
And to your point of like kind of the process of it, and you know, I don't know, I think it's really important to you know, you must have like challenges and you must have struggles that
Hmm.
you are approaching those with as much energy and as much positive energy as possible. And I don't know, doing everything you can each day, to just live the best way you can.
Right. And the changes, you never know how you're going to wake up, right? You
Yeah.
never know. But I would love to hear how that beginning of the summer contrasts with the end.
Yes.
You had the opportunity to be out at Craftsbury for a while, coaching from a single.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that experience. Now you've been doing that for a ton of time, right? And how you're using that to reframe this fall
Yeah.
and what you're thinking about for the sweet boats.
I um I used to be like a little embarrassed by my enthusiasm, but now I'm like I'm old enough. I just don't care at all. Like, dude, it was like
Yeah.
unbelievable to be out in a single. Like I was like I took those first few strokes and I was like, I think this is okay. Like I think yeah, like this is okay. And I was, dude, oh my god, like unreal. Um, for 20 different reasons, but to be there, I mean, it is one of the most gorgeous places on earth. For me, I've been there 20 years. Like, it just is such a special and like sacred space, that body of
Hmm.
water and Craftsbury in general. The people I get to work with, the people who attend. So yeah, that moment was unbelievable. And it actually, one of the traditions at Craftsbury, when you first attend
Yeah.
as a sculler in the program, we have a flip test. We make people fall out of the boat just to make sure they're comfortable in the water, that they know how to like get back to the boat, stay with the boat, keep themselves safe, and then we
And
demonstrate.
these are usually pretty high end scholars, right? That end up out there in the first place,
For
right?
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a huge range. So, like, yeah, we have, I mean, we had a guy who was in the 1992 Olympic men's eight who was up there this summer, and people who've never sculled before, like people who've never touched an oar before. And literally,
And
like,
everybody's getting in the water.
everybody goes in. And we have a coach demo the flipping and then the self rescue technique to get yourself back in. And I was like,
Hmm.
damn it, I'm doing that. Like, I'm going to demo it. So I take a few strokes. I'm like, this is cool. I come
Yeah.
back over. I'm like super happy. I do a little dock talk, and then I flip in the water. I get back in the boat, and it was incredible. I mean, it was perfect, and was just so pumped for that. And then the subsequent 3 weeks, I don't know, like it was spiritual, it was physical. Like my strength was just coming back. I was with like
Mm.
great friends who've been coaching up there. Sarah Grunwald, who's the director, Troy Howell, Noel Warner, like Carol Bauer, just people I've known for 20 years.
Yeah.
And it was really special. I ran a week for Arshay Cooper. We had 20 scullers from his leadership academy. So I was the head coach for this week with Arche. It was the third year we'd run that. He and I are like good pals now, so it was just a blast to see him.
Dope.
He's an amazing person doing amazing things.
Yeah.
Craftsbury and Dick and Judy are helping support his mission and expanding diversity and inclusion and opportunities in sculling. So to be a part of that was amazing. And yeah, just those 3 weeks were like incredibly restorative, like just felt rejuvenated and a little bit stronger each day. And being in a single, we coaches coach from singles, so I was out most days twice, for about 90 minutes each session in a single, coaching people, which was fantastic. And then
That's a long time to be out there. You're
yeah,
used to a launch, you're used to these different things, but
yep,
3 hours each day,
yeah.
that's a pretty big commitment.
We go, it's like 7 to 9 and then 11 to 1. And if you're, a coach assigned to a single, you coach those blocks like you're 7 to 9 and 11 to 1 in a single, which is, again, to me, like the greatest teaching environment. And
for sure. Technically, it's just unbeatable.
Yeah. You're like sculling along and encouraging someone to think about a specific aspect of the stroke. And you're like, well, here, let me demonstrate. Like, let me just show you. Like, I don't need to explain it from a motorboat. Yeah. I can show you from my oar handle right here. So was wonderful. And then transitioning back to the academic year, and we have 5/8 of guys who will be on campus within about a week and a half, all sweep rowing, college age dudes.
They've been killing it this summer too. They've been doing some. They are fit.
I'm excited. Been in contact with the coaches, and it seems like they're excited about the work the team has been doing. The coaches can't have much to do with it at all. So, the team, I think, is very self-sufficient, very motivated, and I think they're doing good work. But to have that experience at Craftsbury, I feel tons of energy and a lot of excitement. Like, I think there's a lot of creativity happening at Craftsbury when you're kind of in that environment. And hopefully bringing a lot of that to what we do over the fall season, and then when we come out for championship season in the spring.
I think giving athletes a different way to experience a sport, or to experience their whatever it is, fitness or skills or mindset, just giving athletes different ways to experience things is really one of the most powerful tools as a coach you can give an athlete to really understand what they're going on. And we see this, again, it's kind of back to my point about coaching for camps or getting into different sports. You see a lot, especially internationally, but a lot of rowers are cyclists. A lot of rowers get into some other stuff.
Yeah. It comes in all shapes and sizes.
Yeah.
And just to give you a little shout out, I didn't follow up, which I apologize for, but even the little coaches roundtable that you put together last week, 45 minutes. I didn't know any of those coaches. I have half a page of notes of like things that people said, things that people noted. I was like, oh, that's a cool way to put that. Like, I've had that same idea, but I like that. It's like it's all around you. And I think a lot of it is like what information is helpful to me that really allows me to coach true to myself, because there's like an overwhelming amount of information, but what can you really use to help, advance your philosophy and be true to kind of like what you want to present to people. So anyway, thanks for putting that together last week, by the way.
Yeah, I'm glad it was fun. I always have a great time. Those are some of my favorite, and these are some of my favorite parts of what I get to do. Mm-hmm. But I think providing resources for athletes is really, really key. Yeah. Just kind of putting a lot of stuff out there and seeing what they latch onto.
Yeah.
And you kind of have your foundations, right? I talk about the foundations of sleep, the foundations of nutrition, the foundations of hydration, the foundations of not going out and killing yourself, whatever it is. There's a million different ways you can kill yourself when you're a college kid, right? But, trying to find that balance between all those different things, and then seeing what folks latch onto, because some athletes will find through their single sculling, that will be how they come to it, or they'll get really deep into the nutrition rabbit hole. be like, oh my God, this is it. And that's how they find their recovery.
Yeah.
But knowing which, and this is something that I really want to look forward to working on this next year, is finding, what are those resources? What are those resources that we can provide to athletes and provide to coaches to provide to athletes? Because I think that's the ultimate thing, right? Is we give you these tools and then pick and choose. Some people need a way to see who's going to come to practice tomorrow. Some people need a blog about what not to eat the night before a 30-mile row. Turns out In-N-Out Burger, shout out to the West Coast here, is not the best pre-race meal. Maybe
once you get back to the boathouse, that's good. But yeah, midway,
exactly.
Not what you want to be doing. Yeah, that's well said, man. And I agree 100%. I think again, returning back to my mentors, they were all extraordinarily open to new ideas, to a diverse kind of menu of ways to approach athlete development. And
that's a great way of saying that. A diverse menu of ways to approach athlete development. That is really, 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 really powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. And the more you can give, I think people are going to find something, and they're going to hopefully really value the pieces that they really can connect to. So.
Yeah. Well, I know we're kind of over time here by a bit, but I'd love to. My last question is really.
Oh, I overtalked, David? Oh, no, that's I barely ever happens ever before. It's I'm
going to get in my car, come out there. And so obviously CrewLAb is a technology company, and that's something we're working on adding to the menu of athlete options, is just different technical solutions. And we're thinking about the playbook, right? How do we run a team in 2023 when athletes their lives are run by these things, and it can get really tough and scary at times. And I know we work together, but just more generally, how do you think about the role of technology in your team? And what are some things that you think work well to keep the athletes in line with what you want for the team?
Yeah. I think, three kind of pillars that are really universal within kind of Trinity men's rowing and what we're trying to promote. And then I think CrewLAb helps us with all three. The first is independence or self-sufficiency within the structure of our league, and even just rowing in general. Athletes need to have a tremendous amount of intrinsic motivation. And they need to be able to independently act. It can't be, we're just not with the athletes that much. We're with them 114 days, and they are by themselves 251. So we're promoting independence and self-sufficiency. So I think, and CrewLAb does help us promote that. The second is accountability. That there's a level of transparency, a high level of sharing, of transparency, of just that level of accountability, so that it breeds trust within a team and within an organization. So that second one, again, I think CrewLAb helps us really increase accountability. And then the third is community. We are aiming to be the strongest pack we can be. It is built of individuals, and when we are all together collectively, we want to be the strongest team and pack we can be. And so community, anything that helps foster those connections and that kind of the belonging to a team, to a pack, incredibly valuable. So those three, myself and Nate Clark, who is my assistant coach, and the captains, I think we aim to promote those in myriad ways throughout the year. But self-sufficiency, accountability, and community, when you can have those involved, in a app, in a program, in a technology, that's really additive it is incredibly enhancing. So that's been our experience in the first year and a half with CrewLAb, and look forward to more of
Well,
it.
you guys, it's funny because you really are becoming, like, literally there's people working on this thing. It really is starting to become in the mirror image. At first it was in the mirror image of UCLA, but
Yeah.
now it's in the mirror image of Trinity because and what you talk about is so powerful. And both those programs are pretty unique,
Yeah.
I think, in the type of athletes that show up, in the ways, like talking about self-sufficiency, right? UCLA is a big club team.
Yeah.
And shout out, just won the national championship.
Accra champs, baby. Hey.
Accra champs, baby.
And they started right in front of us at the head of the Charles last year, by the way, too.
Oh, yeah? You must have got him, did you?
Yeah. So it was a good race. It was a great race. Great race. Well, up in Boston last fall.
We'll have to sponsor the CrewLAb Trinity UCLA duel.
We'd never raced. Maybe San Diego a couple times, but like we just never get the chance to race them. So yeah, the UCLA crew started right in front of us. I know the dudes were pumped. Of just like knew they were really good. Knew good coach, good program. So like we're really fired up to take a shot, and great race down the course. St. Joe's was right behind us.
Oh, no kidding. Let's go.
And St. Joe's is coached by Trinity grad Mike Irwin. Great guy.
Mike Irwin, yeah. He's a man.
The great Mike Irwin. Awesome dude. And so anyway, it was a really fun little pack of boats that were, pretty well matched and charged down the course. So. Anyway, sorry.
Well, I'm really excited to see how this ball goes. I really appreciate your time. Okay. I have to go and talk to Felix, actually.
Awesome.
Who we had the privilege of working a little bit with over the summer. Rode his bicycle 2,000 miles. What more? 3,000 miles.
A walk-on at Trinity and like model of what we want to do. Learned to row here. Made the varsity his sophomore year. Incredible kid. Yep.
Very cool. Well, what question do you have what should I ask Felix?
What question? His bike odyssey across the country. Just amazing that he's, from Germany and wanting to see America. He's like, I'll ride my bike across the country. What question?
Which is probably the most German thing that you can do.
So super.
Like, that makes sense. It just makes sense,
But I just love, question, like his motivation for doing that. I love thinking about, I want to understand more because I'm like, just the intensity and energy of youth. I mean, maybe that's why I still coach, because I get to be around people like that of like, that's awesome. Like, you want to see the country, so you're going to ride your bike across it. So anyway. Pretty awesome.
Heck yeah. That's what I'll ask him. I'll be like, dude, why the heck did you do it?
Enjoy your conversation and tell him.
Yes. Well,
wait to see him.
Kevin, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time. And really looking forward to seeing you guys crush it this year.
Awesome. Thank you very much, David.
All right. Take it easy.
You too.